we're down to the point where we're trying to do a pilot weather briefing. In other words, we're going to look at things you need to be concerned about and maybe questions you need to ask before you fly your aircraft. I am going to deal solely today with the Aviation Weather Center located in Kansas City. The reason I'm doing that is that there is a wealth of information here. All I'm doing is starting at that point. I just went to Aviation Weather Center and I can come up with a number of different products. And I mean a number. We're not going to try to look at them all, but we're going to look at a few. I wanted to show you, for example, this is the maximum wind speed through 50,000 feet over the United States, Pacific, and part of the Atlantic. It also overlays some segments that are out there as well. So, what do you see? Well, lighter winds up over Rocky Mountain area, pretty strong winds over the eastern United States. So if I'm flying there, I got an issue. I want you to notice kind of dips down and goes back up. That's a trough in the atmosphere. We've talked about that. We kind of have one here on the East Coast, goes down like this and then up. So you can actually see your projections on winds you may be dealing with as you're moving across the United States. And you can look at any elevation. So yeah, I was more curious at lower levels. We'll say 12,000 feet. Now, gee, there's 12,000 feet. Very different depiction, isn't it? A lot of the winds are much lighter, over the Rocky Mountains and stuff, because after all, we're getting pretty close to the mountaintops there. But you can also see the trough in the East Coast and all that. So it gives you a great sense of just an overall pattern to the winds. Now, with that, let's take another look at another tool. This is surface observations, again, with some airmets and segments on it. And they're the current ones. You can actually look back and see how this has changed with time. One other thing I would like you to notice with this is there's radar included on it as well. So I can look, for example, and say, oh, it's snowing up here in northeast of Vancouver. Over the Great Lakes, you can see snow coming down in plumes there. You see some over Maine as well. With that, you can actually see that the highs push down into here, and we can pick up observations in different points. If I were to, I've got an interest, for example, up in here. Click on it, and I get what the PIREP is that was being told to me by the pilot there. So I get all kind of information off of just one chart. Again, useful where you're planning to fly. You can zoom into different areas or whatever. And I wanted to look at, with this, say I was interested in ceilings and visibilities. I was not an IFR type pilot. Well, look at that. That tells me where the IFR regions are today. Along the West Coast, up by some of the northern Great Lakes and all. So, great tool for you to use. Maybe you're interested in where thunderstorms might be or turbulence. Well, let's take a look at turbulence today. And here you can see the turbulence at different elevations. Say I was interested in turbulence. I'm flying at 24,000 feet today. I have a pretty high probability. Notice we had a big, strong jet down here, right? We talked about jets having very high, lots of turbulence around them. Well, there your turbulence is. And there's aircraft actually showing it. We have another one along the East Coast here. So if you're bouncing around at that elevation, you might be bouncing. Let's look along here, another little spot. This is just some tools that are available to you. These are the segments. Maybe I want to look at a terminal weather dashboard. I thought that was kind of neat. What it is, it shows you the different concerns at various terminals around the country. So if I was interested, I don't have them all on here, so you get the major ones though. Maybe you would like to instead look at winter weather dashboard. Is there any weather out there winter-wise? And it really isn't much. A little bit of Detroit, some snow, but nothing nominal that's impacting anything. So one final thing I thought was interesting, decision support industry just coming up. But I wanted to look here. I found something. Traffic management portal. This is a ton of information that's available to traffic managers and pilots. Nothing's offline here. This is a high resolution model. Very short term, gives some cool stuff. And interestingly, they run it in an ensemble. So, and with that, I can pick out all kinds of information and look at where I'm at or whatever. So I can say, oh, I want to click on this spot or that spot. And down here's your map. Well, maybe today I am interested in Charleston. Click Charleston. Well, notice what it's doing. It's giving 3 hourly temperatures. Well, notice not much spread until you get out here on temperatures. Well, maybe I want to know what the CAPE is going to be or the QPF. Out here, lots of QPF, but look at all the variation. It ranged all the way up over almost a ½ inch of precip to none at this time. So you would say, oh, well, pretty much the average is in here. So we're going to go that way, but there is a lot of ensemble forecasts down below. So this is just some of the stuff you can look at out here to make your forecast. I just wanted you to be aware of all this. I'm not telling you you have to use it, obviously, every time. Some days are going to be beautiful weather. Other days are not. And this is a great, great way to get an idea of what is happening. Right here, for example, this severe weather comes right up and all that as well. So, good information for you to have. Hope you take advantage of it. And if you have any questions related to all this, because you're going to be working on some things that are similar to this in your lab and pilot weather briefing final project that I have you doing. So please don't hesitate to ask.